Why don't you go and get booked? G'day, hello and welcome to the 60th edition of Why Don't You Go and Get Booked? Now, Why Don't You Go and Get Booked is an online program that educates keynote speakers, trainers and coaches on how to implement a marketing strategy into their business. Now, being 60 years old myself, I know you don't have to say it, I don't look it, right, that's okay. We're doing our 60th live stream. I thought that it might be apt to have something very special on the show today. For those of you who tune in. So you're in for a bit of a treat. Now, many of you will know that I've been a strong advocate for change within the keynote speaking industry for as long as I've been around. Now, I haven't been around for as long as my guest today, and I'm sure I've got a lot to learn from him. But when I came into the industry from a sales background, I was flummoxed. I'm going to say the word again, flummoxed. F-L-U-M-M-O-X-E-D, flummoxed, by the lack of application of basic sales and marketing application in all areas of the industry. And I certainly saw a gaping gap in the operations of the speakers that I work with. Now, the first experience that I ever had, and this probably shaped how I look at the industry, was with a professional keynote speaker by the name of Keith Abraham. I'm sure most of you know Keith, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about his latest book in a second. Now, around 14 years ago, I was invited to Keith's house in Robina on the Goldie, where I was living at the time. I lived in Sanctuary Cove for about 8 or 9 years. And Keith was good enough to show me his entire business setup and guide me through how he's managed to earn over $1 million for the past 20 years. Now, imagine having a business like that. Yeah, keep going, keep dreaming, and keep working, and you can get it too. Now, simply, Keith had a sales and marketing system embedded into his business, and that influenced me, as I said, greatly. So ever since, I've been on a crusade of sorts to educate keynote speakers, trainers and coaches on how to sell and market their services, and we've had a great deal of success doing it. Now, here's the caveat. With those with the intestinal fortitude to have the resilience and the guts to stay the course and do the miles and stick with the sales and marketing system, either one that you use yourself or the one that we've developed, you will win 100% of the time. It's very predictable. And certainly our system is being road tested, and my bank account is telling the story, and it's looking pretty round. I mean, I'm going, what pandemic? What is the problem here? And mainly that's because we've really diversified our income streams. We've never looked at it as, you know, something being, well, there's only a little bit of a pile of money here, so let's screw everybody else and try and get that money by putting everyone down, telling them they're, you know, no good or whatever. There's an abundance of money out there for everyone. So with sales and marketing, there is no quick fix to the sales and marketing conundrum. It's a series of small activities done daily that compound into a profitable business. Okay, so listen up. So you want to make money, right? Now, Keith Abraham's $1 Million Speaker Playbook has just been released, and I suggest you go and download a copy for the reasons I've outlined above. Now, Keith is known as the godfather of speaking in Australia, and it makes perfect sense to grab the download. You can grab the link from this graphic, and it will also be placed in the live stream comments. So let's check a little bit of Keith's new offering out.
Hi everybody, I'm Keith Abraham, and thanks for dropping by to pick up your copy of the $1 Million Speaker Playbook. You know, for the last 25 years, I have travelled the globe, spoken in 33 different countries to 1.6 million people. I've written 5 best-selling books published in 12 different languages, and I am a certified speaking professional, keynote speaker of the year, educator of the year. And the reason why I share that with you is you need to know that I'm somebody that hasn't just dropped into the industry. I run a successful business now. I speak over 100 times a year. This year I'll speak 138 times. In actual fact, I will deliver more than 100 virtual presentations on top of the 30 I did before COVID hit. And I wanted to share with you some of the strategies that I've used to create a business that generates 7 figures, over $1 million a year, every year for the last 20 years. And so the key to it, to building a business that you deserve, that you desire, and more importantly, generates the income that you would love to have, the recurring revenue, is in this book. There are 10 chapters to the book. I'm not going to go through all 10 chapters with you right now. You've got the opportunity to do that. But I talk about purpose because a significant thing happened to me in my business that shifted everything. I was making $500,000, $600,000 a year, and I just couldn't work any harder to get to $1 million. And then I created the business of my dreams. And this template gave me a vision for the future. I then was able to apply a planning process to it that got me very focused on the number one goal I wanted to achieve in my business. It gave me that ability to starve the distractions and feed the focus. And then it's really important that you've got a full pipeline. What would happen in your life if you knew that you had $1 million of proposals in your pipeline at any one stage? Would that give you sustainability, predictability, profitability in your business? I also want to talk to you about how do you become famous for something when you're not a celebrity. And I want to show you the process that I use to sell $1 million programs. Firstly, how to create $1 million program, getting your head around that prospect. And why now? Why this book now? Well, I'm going to have one of my best ever years. I'll crack through about 138 presentations this year. I normally only do 100, but without traveling, I will do close to 100 virtual presentations on top of the 30 plus presentations I did before COVID hit. See, I think if you're a six-figure speaker, you deserve to be a seven-figure speaker if you have the drive and desire to do that. So I want to give you some time-tested strategies. I want to give you some ideas, some information, some insights, and more importantly, a little bit of inspiration so that you can do it. Enjoy the book, and if you want to talk to me about how to go from being a six-figure speaker to a seven-figure speaker, then shoot me an email, and I look forward to talking to you real soon to see if you're a fit with me and I'm a fit with you. Bye now.
Okay, so there we go. It's Keith Abraham's new book, and I would recommend everybody jump in there. Okay, so another book that I want to talk about today is Matthew Pollard's new book, The Introvert's Edge to Networking. Now, this will be a bestseller, and I can assure you if you grab a copy, you'll be singing my praises. Matthew has just got a way about him that is incredibly clear, and it allows you to do things that seem very simple but are very effective. Now, clearly this book's written for introverts, and this is the group who will likely derive most benefit from the content. However, my experience tells me that we extroverts also have much to learn about our introverted counterparts, and this has been an invaluable lesson for me personally. Michelle and I have been working with Matthew for 4.5 years now, and we really are polar opposites, Matthew and I, on the introvert and extrovert puzzle. Now, sometimes I'm sure that Matt and Michelle want to get some duct tape and muzzle me, because I'm quite active with my mouth and my actions and doing stuff. And basically over the years, the contents of Matt's books and his teachings, I've become better at understanding how to work with introverts. And it's a lesson all extroverts need to pay attention to, whether you're in a leadership position or whether you're just dealing with introverted people. They have very specific needs from us as extroverts. And one of those is to shut our mouths a little bit, listen a bit more, and stop jumping from subject to subject and Matthew will tell you this. I do it all the time. We'll be having a sales meeting with Matthew, and I'm like, what about this? What about this? What about? And Matthew's like, please just slow down. Let's deal with one thing at a time. So the three of us, Michelle, Matthew, and I, have developed a very, very well-oiled team, and we're basically killing it. And that's basically because Matt's business is based on a sales and marketing strategy. It's at the helm. It drives everything that we do in his business, everything. And obviously, Matthew is one of the hardest working people I know, an amazing business builder, a brilliant strategist, and I consider myself, and Michelle knows this as well, that we're very lucky to have run across him just through a simple little Twitter message. And I've only ever sent one Twitter message, and that was to Matthew. And I figured I'd just quit there because I'm well ahead. So goodbye Twitter, and hello Matthew. So you can see by our Thanksgiving frame here that it's Thanksgiving in America, and we'd like to wish happy Thanksgiving to all our American friends. The US is where we do most of our work these days, and I want to tell you it's a hotbed for speakers, it's a hotbed for doing business, for sales, and basically everything that we love to do here in Australia, they just do it so effortlessly over there. Now, I'm unashamedly an Australian, and I will always live here, unless I go and live in America if it gets too enticing for me. But if you try and go over there on a whim, you will get chewed up and you will get spat out. So if you are looking at, making going into the US, then I guess talk to me first. I just got a couple of messages up here I want to share. Ellie Johnson, what's wrong with jumping from subject to subject? Yes, well, Ellie and me are both extroverted. Good to see you on, Ellie. Okay, let's get our guest on. Gerry Morris has been around the keynote speaking game for many years, 20 years, I believe. He'll tell us a little bit more about that in a second. He's a gentleman and a scholar, and he always has enough change in his pocket to buy himself a pint. Now, that's an old Irish saying, by the way. He has a reputation for being one of the good guys. He has a wealth of knowledge about our industry, and I'm honoured to have him on Why Don't You Get Booked today. His new initiative as part of the Book Speakers Direct model includes join the Book Speakers Direct directory, lead capture form surveys, landing pages, online calendar bookings, client database CRM, online payments and subscriptions, email and marketing automation, online course hosting. So without further ado, it's the Gerry and Terry Show. Welcome, Gerry Morris. How are you today?
Very well. On top of the morning to you, Terry.
You too.
And congratulations on 60 episodes. That's no mean feat.
It's a lot of work, mate. It'd be surprising with some of you guys, like, a lot of this, you see a lot of framing that goes up, but there's quite a few hours work involved in getting all that up. So going to post some of these comments on here, and I might post that one as well.
And no wonder you're feeling flummoxed. I might have to steal that one from you. Not too sure how it'll go down the pub.
Definitely flummoxed, mate. Definitely flummoxed. And I'm going to ask you just to move to your right a bit.
Right.
Yeah. We're going to get you to move around in frames here, Gerry, because Michelle's very active with these frames. So, but let's start it off anyway, mate. I thought we could start out just having a bit of a chit chat, and as they say in the Irish vernacular as well, tell us about yourself.
Who's your man? Who's your man? Tell us about yourself. I think that always happens if you go into a pub or anywhere in Ireland and you're not from around these parts and you have a slightly different accent. It's like, hey, you, tell us about yourself. Where are you from? That's how it starts. But yeah, so yeah, the boy from Belfast. But we moved out here in Australia early 70s. Like even just yesterday, when I was out walking the wee dog, met a lady. Again, she was from Belfast. You could pick up the accent straight away. And she goes, "Where are you from?" Same thing, it's as if you were walking down the street with her. And I said, "Look, I've been here a long time. I think it's like about 35 plus years. But this accent kind of stays." I remember meeting a lovely old lady who says, "If you're in Ireland until you're over 10, you get like a lockjaw, so you roll your R's for the rest of your life." So how can you argue with that? It goes, okay, so I'll stick with that. No problems at all. Yeah, so Australia's mid-70s. So we did that whole thing of leaving the troubles. The Irish were a wonderful race of people, but you can't have too many of us in the one place at the same time. Starting to shoot at each other and all that sort of carry on. And the parents moved to Australia so that the children might die of old age. So a much better concept. But yeah, I was thinking about it. The speaking industry, come next year, 2021, I'll be 20 years in the industry. I started way back in 2001, green as. Didn't know a thing about it, but there you go. It was we were moving to Queensland. We were leaving Adelaide to go up to Queensland to start a new life, and a lovely friend of ours who was in the industry in Adelaide found out about the move, put us together with a certain bureau that we worked with back in the day, and off to Queensland we went, thinking we were going to have to deal with all these famous people. It's always good fun. It's going like, oh my goodness, all these heroes of mine, sporting stars and whatnot. But we got to Queensland, set up the phones. First day it didn't ring. Second day it didn't ring. Third day I was calling Telstra going like, have you connected the right numbers? Are we sure about this? and then quickly found out that nobody knew about that certain bureau that I was working with at the time. So we thrown in the deep end, went out there like running for mayor, kissing babies, shaking hands, going all to the networking events, and just getting to know the lay of the land, and also getting to know speakers as well. I tell a little fun story that you kind of always remember your first time. And I got a very first inquiry we got was for, they wanted one of the Brisbane newsreaders to MC a big event. And I was going, we were in the Sunshine Coast, so not the Goldie, but up the other end. And I had no idea who, did the news in Brisbane. So with this accent of mine, I phoned up Channel 9 and I said to them that we're new in the country. My son's doing a school project, and who reads the news for you? And then they said, oh, it's Kay McGrath and Bruce Page. Hung up the phone, picked it up again, going, can I speak to Bruce Page? And they put me straight through to him, and off we went, up and running.
Yeah, that's.
So you would have seen a heck of a lot of action. I mean, you probably would have booked just about every speaker on the Australian speaker circuit. Yeah. And I know that both of us, mate, have been huge advocates for changing and improving keynote speakers, I guess, go to market, helping them to get more bookings, etc. So let's go straight into your new. Well, let's first of all talk about ICMI, because you were working with ICMI and Saxtons. How was that experience for you, mate?
Yeah, look, I'm over the therapy. It's all good. It was a real learning curve. So it was ICMI at the beginning. It's almost like doing an apprenticeship. You're thrown in the deep end and you just get on with it. We get on with non-speakers. And we did 12 years with ICMI. Got to meet some wonderful speakers, fantastic clients along the way. So it was quite the journey with them. Met some really special people. There's a couple of favorites of mine that'll always be with me. I'm a great fan of Tom O'Toole's, the Mad Baker from Beechworth. I think they broke the speaker mold when Tom came along. And a lovely lady by the name of Robin Moore, who we all know as the voice of Blinky Bill, but just brilliant on stage, and many, many more along the way with ICMI. Then we'll probably get to a bit later. Then I had my accident, and I wanted a change. Let's put it down to that way. A mutual change was needed. And then started running events for about 4 years on the Sunshine Coast. That'd be me and my wife. My big nasty accident. I don't know what you want me to talk about there, but
let's have a little segue into the accident, because I've got some pictures here of that accident, and they're pretty horrific, mate. It must have been a bit of a life. Let's have a look at a few of those pictures, Michelle. There's certainly some. I mean, mate, you don't look too well there, brother.
Nah, a bit of an Evel Knievel moment there, unfortunately. Is I was at the height of fitness. I'd taken up cycling, and about a month or a few weeks before this accident happened, I actually did a bike ride from Brisbane to Townsville for men's mental health. I thought it was mental health when I was first asked about it. Yeah, that's a good one. That's about 18 stitches in my head. But I was coming home from a ride on a Sunday, and I was like minutes away from home. But then somebody opened the car door. I hit the door. I went flying over the door and into the road. And a car came along and it hit me. And I rolled underneath it, and it slowly pushed me for about 20 meters. Sometimes I joke I wish I had stopped a bit sooner. But somehow, I don't know what it was, that the car didn't just bump over me, so incredibly lucky. And it all happened outside cafes. So when the driver did come to a halt, like 10 blokes came running from barbecue areas and cafes and stood over the car. And in their words, they looked under the car, and one of them describes it. He's like, I'd never seen a human flatten so much, like I was pinned under the car between wheels and the engine on me and stuff. And they thought I was dead. And they thought, what will we do? And they decided, well, let's lift the car off him, which I'm really pleased with. That was a great decision. And these guys lifted the car up, pulled me out, and again thought I'd passed. And we were looking for a blanket. Let's get some sheet and cover him. And then they said I started making some noises, really weird noises. And they thought, oh, he's got brain damage. And then they said I started, my language became quite colorful. I was swearing a lot, and they thought, oh, he's back. And then very thankful that the ambulance was there very quickly, took me off the hospital. And I was in ECU for a few days, and they were doing their bits, a bit of touch and go and whatnot, but I came back. And it's funny with that photograph that you showed there, the one that they put in the newspaper. So it's nice to be dubbed the Miracle Man. Sometimes I think God wanted me to be a guest speaker. I wish he had that conversation with me before. I just booked them. I don't do the speaking. Very lucky. And with the photograph there, we had a speaker call up and going, gee, that photograph looks scary. I'm like, no, what's happening there? And Donald just said, yeah, I don't think they captured me in my best light. And the speaker just cracked up.
Mate, can I get you to move to your left a bit so we can see
the left?
Because you're yeah, there you are.
Easy
there
now,
you
easy
go.
now.
Yeah, the frames are a little bit dicky, mate. You got to keep moving in and
Keep
out of
shaking.
them. Technology, what do you do?
Yeah.
So, mate, here you are in recovery mode here, and I think we've got another one of you with your walking stick, and obviously getting better. And it's probably good for the industry that you're there, mate, because you have this new initiative, Speaker Engine, which I really wanted to get behind it, because I think, speakers need as much help as they can. I mean, it's really tough out there, particularly now, because if you look on, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, if you looked on LinkedIn, not every person was a keynote speaker. But now, right now, where everybody's a keynote speaker. My mother's a keynote speaker, my father's a keynote speaker, my two brothers are keynote speakers, and all of my cousins are also keynote speakers. So all that means is that we've got a much more competitive marketplace, and particularly when we're working in Australia only. And one of the things I say to people is that basically with LinkedIn, what you're able to do is plug in some contacts. We okay there, Shell? Yeah, just checking on my production manager. Plug in some contacts, click across the world, and start doing an outreach program. And we've developed a really effective one, and we can basically, pretty well. It takes a while. It's not one of the thing. What I was talking to you pre-show is what I found with a lot of keynote speakers is they want it all. They want it now. It doesn't happen all. It doesn't happen now. It doesn't happen straight away like that. It's a series of little mistakes and muck-ups and work and hard work, bang, 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 until you get to the point where you've done enough work to compound to get the gear, to get the work in. And I think it took us maybe 5 or 6 years of plugging really hard, and not in. I think 1 year we earned $15,000. And I think that's basically what a lot of keynote speakers find, mate. So with your new, let's have a quick look at your new initiative, and then you can talk about it. I'll just play the dulcet tones of Sir Warwick Merry.
Superstar of a man.
Video here, mate. Press this, Shell. No, this one. Right there we go.
There was a better way. Imagine a single system that gives you access to all of these tools in one place at a fraction of the price of buying them all separately. That's exactly what we offer at Lift Engines. Finally, you can do everything you'd ever wanted to do all inside the one system. It's simple, easy to use, and incredibly powerful. You'll have to see it to believe it. And that's why we offer free trial accounts. Claim your free trial today and learn more at liftengines.com.
So Gerry, let's firstly talk about, let's wait till we're both back up on screen. And once again, I'm going to get you to move you to into screen there, mate. That's good, man.
I love that the pearly gates are behind me. I've been rejected once from there. Like, go back. He's going to talk too much. Is that any better?
Beautiful, mate. Beautiful. Let's talk firstly about Book Speakers Direct. When did that happen? How is it going? And what sort of reaction have you got from other speaker bureaus?
Yeah. Oh, like change, when you try change for anything, just going back a little steps there, what we were saying, like, you know, I want it all and I want it now. It does take time. You know, I think like the speaking industry and speakers are very much like the entertainment industry and bands and performers. You know, you don't become that overnight success. You just got to keep working it and working it. You know, you got to be doing the gigs. You got to be getting out in front of it, and you just got to be, you know, getting better all the time and smarter. You know, if you look at bands like even In Excess, you know, it was a great story a while back there when they were playing the little gigs in all the pubs. You know, you've got to do the yards, and then you got to become clever and smarter, and on you go. But let's like jump into Book Speakers Direct. We started it back in March 2018. Yeah, it would have been probably June. That's when I started like getting out there. But I just wanted to create a change, you know, like, as I say, it is 20 years now, like next year, or 20 years in the industry, seen a lot, you know, and then I thought there was a chance for some change. You know, if you keep doing things the same way, you know, then nothing changes. There was like one night I probably had a Guinness and a Jameson together, and it just started coming to me like about doing the opposite. You know, we look at different players out there in industries that have been disrupted by doing the exact opposite of what's been done before. You know, if you look at your Ubers and your Airbnb, and a classic for us is Webjet, you know, so it's like a lot of people who've been traveling for a long time, they'll want to go to a travel agent and you know, like have it done for them. But at the same time, if you go to that travel agent's got like preferred products. You know, there's a good chance that they're going to send you on the tour that they've always sent everybody else on. So we wanted to give the clients an option to do what they wanted to do. A bit like, again, Webjet, you know who you want, you're looking for a certain subject and a certain price range, and then book them yourself. And the other biggies were for the speaker to be able to have that conversation from the beginning, start the relationship from that phone call. So again, by doing the opposite, instead of withholding information, we wanted to show as much information about the speaker, you know, and show the phone number. Here's an email which goes straight to the speaker, and we'll have a bio, a video. And one of the things we talked about earlier, Terry, was, you know, about talking about what the outcome will be for the client. You know, like, it's fine, we can all follow that same thing of, here's my bio, this is what I've done, this is what I would do, you know, I've done this before, but it's like, tell the client exactly the outcomes they want. So we have a bio, and then we'll have 2 or 3 sections say, you know, what will the client get from this? And then there's the contact details. We show social media platforms. Our web pages for the speakers, sometimes we've been said, that's better than my website. You know, all the information's there, and if they want to go find out more, they can go to the website, they can go to their LinkedIn, they can do whatever, find out more about that speaker, and on they go. So it's all about creating that change and giving other players a chance. You know, going back to that same model of a travel agency, you know, they'll have their preferred products and exclusives, if you want to call them, and kind of keep pushing the same people. And very difficult for new people to come in and break into the industry. You know, there was a time when we were, one of the bureaus, mentioned no names, but we were looking at new people coming in and thinking, oh, we've already got somebody in that section. We've got somebody that we got there. It's too hard, you know, and it's difficult for the speakers. So we wanted this to be like, you know, a fresh playing field, you know, a new start. And even going over with like this new time that is coming, is that it's one of the speakers I've been talking to called it like an intermission. This is an intermission, and we have a new starting line coming out. And coming out of this COVID coma, I think speakers need all the tools they can get. You know, it's about working smarter and cleverer. It's like yourself, Terry, you're helping speakers get to that next level. You know, I think the speaker's journey is a tough one. You know, you become an expert in your industry, you might have 10, 15 years of experience. And then when you become a speaker, you have to become a bit of a marketing guru. You got to get your branding right. You know, you've got to be heard out there, and you're competing in a tough market. And as you say, like the Australian market is a certain size. So it's a tough gig. So we wanted to help everybody and say, like, you know, here's experienced speakers, and here's got ones coming up through the ranks, and just say, I think when I look at this, I decided we wanted to give the speakers more tools, so it's one thing to have a directory, but then it's a case of like, what's the speaker doing? What can we do? What more can we give the speaker so they can help themselves? And that's why we were very lucky with our digital marketing team that they were working on a thing called lift engines, and that fit it very nicely in with what speakers are trying to do. And what we find in this time was a lot of speakers have no system. They might have, I'm trying to think, MailChimp. They might have 1 or 2 little apps they're working on, where we've put about 5, 6, 7, 8 apps all into the one product that talks to itself, and they can run the business from that. A nice little way of putting a Gerry spin on it is, I think of it as like an Amazon store, where our book speakers directory is your front window, and that's where you're out on display. But the speaker engine is like the back room, and that's where you're doing all the work. As you said, the landing pages, running your courses on there, just to make it easier. And we wanted to make it affordable as well, but really wanted to have that no-brainer. It's just another tool that I think the speakers need to have in their arsenal.
That's great, Gerry. Let me turn my sound back up because I had a bird tweeting in the background there. Tweet, tweet, tweet. So the industry, obviously, I mean, my take on it is there's plenty to go around. I think there is a lot of laziness in the speaker bureau world, and I think speaker bureaus play a very important part. So I'm not bureau bashing here.
Same.
I've worked at a speaker bureau, and when I suggested that we do more phone calls and we get more active with our outbound calling, I got the sack. Particularly with I was in there looking to the people who I was working for knew that I was building my own business anyway, so I can't blame them, and God bless them. But for they need it. But I when I was there, I was amazed at the lack of outbound marketing for specific campaigns. There was basically none. And when I said, look, should we get more active here? I was told to go and sit down and do my number. And I said, what, just wait for an inbound inquiry to come in. And that seems to be the way the industry was working. But what happened, I believe, is that then sort of pervaded into the psyche of the keynote speaker, where the keynote speakers just thought, well, I'll just wait for opportunities to come in. So the reason I loved your speaker engine model was that it does give people or speakers those tools for them to I guess build or nurture their business. So how have, firstly, with Book Speakers Direct, I had a look through this morning. You've got a lot of listings. You'd obviously like a lot more listings on there. Is that correct?
It is indeed, sir. It is indeed.
So how can speakers get involved?
Reach out. That's the simple thing. Is like reach out there. My phone number's on there. Email address is there, and just find out more about what we're doing. Again, like when you bring something new into the industry, and which we did back in 2018 there, like hilariously, one of my favorite speakers, a good friend, I won't mention his name, but kind of threw me under the bus by letting out, I've joined Gerry in his new agency, and a wee bit of shit hit the fan verbally and whatever. And then change is hard. It's like if there's a new player coming into the market, it's like, what are they doing? Well, they're only going to do this, they're stealing that, or what? They're not going to take any commissions. No, it's like, there's room for everything. As you said, it's a big pie. I think one of the first competitors that came across in Queensland going, Gerry, the pie's big and we can all have a slice of it. Yes, there's definitely a need for bureaus. Bureaus are always going to be around. There's some great experienced consultants there who will help you pick the right speaker. But you're right, Terry, there's not enough on that outgoing marketing. I'll touch on there a little bit of a touchy subject when it comes to exclusives. It's like people will sign up as exclusive, and I think, as long as they're going to get you a lot of work, do that, because one bureau won't really want to use you because you're exclusive to that one. It's got a little bit better, but it's still always going to be there. I think like you need the irons in the fire. You need more people looking out for you. Being exclusive is fine as long as you get plenty of work. You know, like obviously you're looking after Matthew a treat there, and the two of you work as a team. And I think that's a big part of it. But as
Yeah,
far
I
as
mean,
outdoor
look,
marketing, nah.
let me jump in on the exclusives, because I mean, what Jerry's saying there is that if I work for and let's use names of reputable, really clever, good, and I love these speaker bureaus, ICMI and Saxton, right? So I'm an exclusive for Saxton, and ICMI want to use me. The account manager who's doing the booking has to share commissions with ICMI. Now, what am I going to do as an account manager? I'm going to go and find another speaker where I can get 25 or 30% on, and tell the customer that that person's not available or couldn't get hold of them. I mean, basically, they can tell them anything they want, and there's always a place. The other thing with this exclusives is that I don't really see the value in it for a keynote speaker because of that alone. And I personally wouldn't use Saxton's, because I've had some experiences with this lady called Nanette, and I don't mind, telling her that she was very rude to me and very rude to Michelle. I would never work with them again. But having said that, if I had to, I guess I would, but I just don't see any value in it, because I found, and I think we were talking about this off show, that it's not about how much money you make. That's important, but it's about the people that you work with, Jerry. And you're looking for nice people to work with, because at the end of the day, if you've got to work with someone for 2 or 3, 4, 5 or 6 years, it's incredibly hard to maintain a relationship when you do not like that person. So.
Most definitely, I 100% agree. It's like, no, life's too short, and I've dealt with, and this is a strong point. Most speakers are like fantastic people, just lovely, but you will get a handful of a nice word for putting it is just divas, and like, I don't want to deal with them, the end client doesn't want to deal with them. It's like two different people. The one on stage delivers, and that's awesome, but the person off stage is like, who's that? And I've been being honest. Somebody will ask for that person and going, oh, they're not available, and they go like, I haven't given you the date yet, Jerry. I don't want it, and you don't want it.
Well, the other thing about, we were talking about this, I think, the other day, Jerry, and if we can just get you to move center pivot again so we can see your beautiful head, mate, was the fact that the speaker bureaus are basically dealing with, I mean, generally speaking, we're talking about the top 30% or 25% of keynote speakers. So, we could name names like Keith Abraham or Chris Helder. There's a number of very high quality keynote speakers around there that the account manager, now it's all account manager based, unless the boss says we need to get this exclusive more bookings because we're not getting them enough, which usually comes down because they'll lose their exclusivity. And this does happen a lot. I know a lot of people that have gone exclusive and gone, well, I didn't get any bookings, so what's the use of that? Yeah. But basically they're using the top 25% of speakers. The other guys are basically not getting a look in, and this is what happens. As an account manager, and you will know this, I'm looking for safety so that client comes back next year.
Yeah.
I don't want to put someone up. I don't want to take a risk on you. If you're a sales speaker and I can put Chris Helder up, I'm going to put Chris up every time.
Yeah.
Because I need to keep my job. And look, I mean, Chris is a great speaker. I can see why he gets used. But I want to keep my job. I don't want to, and I want to make commission. I want to make I want to make money. So let's talk a little bit about that. Is that something that is a big factor that you've seen in speaker bureaus?
Totally. It's a huge factor in it. And even with that top 30%, it's like the top 10% of that who are getting most of the work, and then the others are getting X amount. And then after that, it's like 1, 2, 3 jobs a year. And it's not happening on about this exclusives but I know of a lovely lady, and her presentations go to raising money for children, and she's just not getting the gigs. Like it was like 4 or 5 gigs for the year, and I'm going like, oh, that's awful. And she's a terrific speaker. And in the case of like, they're just hindering themselves. Don't get me started. Yeah, so it's like going back to that safety net. It's like When I was a consultant, yep, you want this person. One, I'm getting the commission, and two, it's a safe bet, and you'll come back to me next year. Where other times, going back, saying, oh, that person's not available. Oh, that's a great idea. I've heard good things about that person, but have you heard about this person? And try and go on down that sales road there. So yeah, I wanted to get rid of that. I wanted to make it like an open playing field.
I love that, mate. I love that you're doing that, and like I said, I'm your biggest supporter. So, we talked as well about, particularly with your speaker engine, that there is, someone asked me, well, isn't Gerry a direct competitor with your Why Don't You Go and Get Booked initiative because you teach sales and marketing? I said, no, absolutely not. And even if he was, there's so much room in the marketplace. There's so many new speakers coming in that. We both of us probably could, and I think both of those, the course that we run and your speaker engine, they provide different services. So we're teaching people how to use those tools. You're providing the tools, and I'm sure down the line, mate, you're going to get into the education and training part with regards to that. And I wish you all the luck with that. So. With tell me about Book Speakers Direct. So if a speaker comes on. What do they do? Is it a flat fee of, I think it's $157 a month, is it? Or
yeah.
And then tell us how it works from the speaker's point of view.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks for the opportunity. We've just changed that. It was a case of when we first started, it was $1,500 for the year, and on you come, and it's a tax deductible claim and the likes. But it was in this time through COVID in the last 6 months. Great to hear that you're pandemic. I love that. But for a lot of speakers, it's just tough at the moment. So we've had a look and a tweak, and it was a case of going, let's just reduce our fee. Let's get more good speakers on the platform. And we've cut that right back, which we haven't actually even gone public with, but that's only going to be like $500 plus GST. $500, you get up there and you're on the platform. So that's step number one. But then if you want the tools, if you want to take out the speaker engine, we've got two versions of it. One which is a light version, which is enough to get you going, dip your toes in for your own marketing. And that's only at $1,500 for the year, and which includes the BSD directory, or you can pay it at $150 a month, whatever you want. And then if you want all the bells and whistles, all the automation, all the triggers, and then we have the Pro Plus version, which is $3,000 for the year. And talking and comparing to what else is out there, with some different marketing software, that's probably saving people around about $200 a month. I know of several speakers who are using Kajabi. Kajabi's a great big worldwide success rate and ClickFunnels, they're all out there. But they'll be paying around about $500 a month for their top tier of Kajabi, and we're saying, look, we're going to give you more for $300 a week. All the bells and whistles, unlimited landing pages, unlimited this, unlimited that, and then here's your tool. It's like I've been describing it as like having a V8 Mercedes in your garage, but then it's a case of getting used to it. You have to learn to drive this thing, and that's a big part of our process for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is with sales and marketing as well, Gerry. I'm a big advocate of learning and upskilling, and I find I'm on so many feeds of experts in America because I think they're so far ahead of us in terms of the cultural acceptance of being a salesperson. The salesperson's no longer that, the guy, I want a coffee and a burger, you want to buy a car, two-tone rust, It's no longer that sort of person. We're quite sophisticated these days, and heartfelt sales is more my go. Like if there's not a win-win situation, I won't do it. If I'm not really getting on with the person and it's a long-term deal, I won't do it. But once again, I've anyone who's looking to really understand how to pull a niche business together, go and check out Matthew Pollard's Academy, because I learned most of my stuff through Matthew, and I'm very fortunate with that. So let's get onto this abundance mindset, right? Why do you think it is there is so much bitching and moaning, I'm going to say it, between speaker bureaus, between agencies in Australia. And I know the market's small, but why do you think that is? Is it because it's an inbound model? They're very much around the marketing-based things and not so much on the sales? Or what is that, Gerry? Why is it?
Yeah, like you hit it on the head with abundance. No, it's about attitude. There is a lot out there. There's so much opportunity out there. And like even right now, like where speakers are getting booked and presented, as you said, in America, it'll be presented in Europe because we've got used to being here online and present the same IP. But it's like that abundance. Think more big and think what's the world got for me where, unfortunately, it's that I've called it that sort of greedy mine. No, that's mine. You can't play with that. It's almost like a schoolyard. That's my friend. You can't play with my friend. And it's like, no, this one's that, and it becomes all that bitching. It's just, there's no need for it. And there's like speakers, they're just caught up in the middle of it. They have no idea that's going on. They just think they're doing the right thing by being with that agency, whatever. But it's like, think big. There was one time when the person I worked for, and then they stopped that share in the commission and shit hit the fan. And I was like, that's wrong. Like I would grind in my teeth and give myself headaches at nighttime going, why is it like that? And hilariously, because we're in a motivational business, all these people are great speakers on inspiration and thinking outside the square and being bigger and larger than life. And then in the background is this, yeah, mine. That's my hereditary.
We've had a bit of an experience with futurists, funnily enough, with the Aussie Speakers USA brand. And now we knew that was a long haul. It is a long haul, and it's still. I mean, the pandemic basically put a stop to it because it was very hard. Even now, we're finding it unless you have clients already in the bag. Anyway, we won't go there because that's another conundrum in itself. But I found with innovators and I was looking for them to have a bit of vision, people that maybe didn't come onto the Aussie Speakers platform, and there was none there. And I'm like, but aren't we supposed to? I'm just listening to what you're saying from stage here, so I'm just going then and putting those principles into action. Are you not on board with that? No, not when I've got to pay for it, and which is fair enough. But someone has to pay for the work that's done, and that's why I applaud. I encourage speakers to jump onto the Book Speakers Direct platform because Gerry and Donna have got overheads and I know because if they're anything like Michelle and I, and I'm sure they are, they're working their asses off. So they deserve your bloody support. So get behind them, get onto the Book Speakers Direct platform, and get your money out of your pocket. Now, Gerry, we were talking as well. You're obviously going out to. You've got two clients, obviously, the speakers and the corporate clients. Who, as far as I can see, corporate clients should be getting behind this to put more money in the keynote speaker's pocket. Because it's already bloody hard for them to make ends meet. They've got a lot of them have got kids and a house and a mortgage and the same things that people have got in a job. So they need to earn as much money as possible.
Absolutely.
So you're obviously going out to corporates as well with this model.
Very much so. So at first, like the biggie for us was event planners. And event planners, we were putting it in front of people hilariously when you go out there with a new product. And they're going, oh, so you just booked the Speakers Direct? And I'm going, that's it. And I've had a couple of event planners, oh, it's in the name. And they're going, yeah, it's in the name. But it is. It's about putting more money back in the speaker's pocket because it is bloody tough right now. And as you said, like from March for some speakers, it's just stopped. The tap just shut, and people are doing it tough. So coming out of this, it's a new way of thinking, as I said before, but it's putting the money back in the speaker's pocket. Sometimes I'm saying, going back to what you were saying about selling, I'm saying out there, like, we're Book Speakers Direct. You feel like I'm selling to people, but I'm not. It's actually come there, find who you want. I'm not taking a commission from these speakers. It's going straight back in their pocket. They're earning more. So that's what it's all about. Like, it's kickstarting the industry again. And that's even why we've reduced this to $500 to make it a no-brainer. Get on the platform. Let's work together. Because a biggie, what you were saying before, It's collaboration. You know, that whole thing of abundance. The more people are collaborating for the speakers, the better it's going to be. If you have that mind mentality, nothing's going to change. But if you're going, oh, I think I can work with these guys to get that sort of outcome, then bring it on. You know, like there's a simple little thing out there where speakers have done a presentation for a client the year before. You know, so there's a good chance they're not going to go back this year. So it's like, what can we do with that? Let's send that back as a referral. What about the speaker get onto their client and say, look, I think I can help you out here. Share the love, move it around, and make sure people are getting booked. As I say, that we've been saying that bureaus will always be there and help out and do the right things when they can. But it's like, for some speakers I've spoken to, and we've all heard the horror stories, a speaker could be talking to the CEO, 2 or 3 phone calls, and that CEO turns around to the PA and goes, lock in so-and-so. Well, I haven't been speaking to them. Do a little Google search, agency comes up, and they're on the phone to them. And then the speaker's going, why am I paying 30%? I've been doing all the hard work. So just time, it's an option, time for change. And bring it on, I say.
Yep, bring it on. The other thing that I wanted to bring up, we talked about it briefly, and this was something that that I've been looking at for quite a while, and I mentioned it to you, is that often a lot of the banks, and I know that you and I are both working towards getting a fix for this, often the banks and the big companies will have supplier agreements, and they'll use the Speaker Bureau specifically because of that agreement, because we've done work with some of major companies in America like Oracle and Intel with Matthew, and the process of getting onto their supplier agreement is long, and what they try and do is they'll avoid that. So I think moving into getting some of those bigger clients on board, finding a fix for that, and I'm all for helping and working out how that can possibly be done. I mean, electronic documents these days, they're doing amazing things. All of our contracts now are electronically produced. I'm not sure if you're using those, but they're just a joy to work with, because there's no paper trail that gets left on someone's desk. It's kind of like you send the contract out, or we just done some work with a big bureau in America, and they're using electronic documents. They sent us it. We basically did a few little changes to it, signed it, just typing in, it's away and it's done, and it's a beautiful thing. I'm like all for it. But I think the similar thing could be done with supplier agreements, some way of, I talked to my IT guy about, is there any way we can get a portal where people, these companies could go on and we could, they could get a sign off on it or something like that as part of, maybe that's part of your electronic offering of the future. Gerry, I think that's something that would be a great gain, because obviously it would be fantastic to have some of these bigger clients who are doing 40, 50, the Commonwealth banks and the NABs and the insurance companies that rely solely on their, and usually that all that is anyway is a relationship with the account manager and the event planner. I mean, it's a very sort of matriarchal space, that, so which I totally honour. Totally honour. But obviously moving forward, mate, thanks very much for being on the show today. I really, really appreciate it. I'm just going to close off now with a couple of things. But if you want to get in touch with Gerry, my man, go to Book Speakers Direct homepage, and you can probably find their details there. I know him and Donna are beautiful people. It was great to spend time with you today. Any parting words, mate?
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Embrace technology. It's there. Use the tools. It's in the shed. As you said before, keep educating yourself and get yourself out there. Keep working on it, and we'll be here to help you.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate your time. You have a fantastic day. Okay, just to close off, guys, I'm just gonna plug a book, another book. Yes, you are right. So let me get that in the frame there. This book's by Rob Hartnett. Right now, Rob started working with me a couple of months ago, and I liked the cut of his jibe. I just liked, just very confident, knew his stuff. He's researched. He's had a wealth of experience, and I started reading this book, and I'm like, wow, Rob's a really good writer. Just to give you the rub, and I would guarantee that if you went and purchased a copy of that book, and just think that this is a good one. This is a really, really good book, and I think it'll be around for a while, and I'll be plugging it forevermore. Guys, that's all we've got today. If you if you want to get involved with Why Don't You Go and Get Booked, call me. If you want to get involved with Book Speakers Direct, and I would guarantee that is a good move for you. These are good people, and they're worthy of your support. Do so. Otherwise, have a great week. Stay profitable. And look forward to catching up with you on next week's show at 10 o'clock. Actually, it's not next week, it's 2 weeks' time, every second week. And we'll probably have another guest on. Oh, yes, we're having a LinkedIn expert by the name of Michael Bohannes. I think that's how I say his surname. But he is an absolute genius when it comes to LinkedIn outreach. So tune in then, and we'll have more tips for you on how to build your business. And have a great week. Bye. Why don't you go and get booked?